Happy post game. Sean Callahan, Robin Washett here. Steve Sipple as for about the next 45 minutes to an hour, we are going to enjoy a post game show. What are we drinking, Rob? We're drinking some Cornhead Lager.
From the fine folks at Cross-Strain.
Cross-Strain, the 1890. Sipple's drinking a Diet Dr. Pepper. Not near as fun as we are, but over the next hour, we're going to talk about Nebraska's 35-11 win over Northern Illinois. And what a game it was for Nebraska, guys. I mean, this was kind of the performance I think we had all wanted to see all year, where Nebraska played 4 quarters of complimentary football, where the defense was physical. They got off the field on third down. The offense finished drives. They played for the fourth quarter where they could run and just kind of wear down Northern Illinois, and special teams was solid. And it all came together. Heinrich Harburg steps in for Jeff Sims. He did his job, had nearly 100 yards rushing in this game for Nebraska with 98 yards on 21 carries, was 14 of 24 passing for 158 with 2 touchdowns, but it was a very situational 14 and 24. A lot of third down throws, a lot of red zone efficiency for Heinrich Harburg. For the sellout crowd on a beautiful night at Memorial Stadium, Sip, this is about all you could have drawn up for Heinrich Harburg and Matt Rhule here in this home opener.
Yeah. I mean, they needed it bad. And now we have an interesting conversation, right? I mean, it's going to get interesting, I think, with this quarterback thing. And I don't mean to drum up a controversy, but eventually they're going to have to make a decision. I mean, they're going to have, Heinrich, I think, showed tonight that he deserves a long look this week. Maybe it comes down to Sims's health. Rhule after the game said he didn't want to deal in hypotheticals because he doesn't know who's going to be healthy and who's not. So he left it open. I thought Heinrich showed enough that I guess that's the best way I can put it. He showed enough tonight, Heinrich Harburg, that he deserves a long look this week. Mm-hmm. Even if Sims is healthy, which I think is a bit of a big if.
Yeah. I mean, we still don't know the exact degree of the injury. They said they thought it was a high ankle sprain. If that's the case, that can last weeks. And so you're talking about a guy that his primary strength is as a runner.
Right.
And you don't want a guy that has struggled to throw the football to sit in the pocket and kind of just be a sitting duck back there. So just having that dual threat ability with Heinrich is a really important part of this offense. Matt Rhule said as much after the game today. He said the QB run game will always be a part of what we do. And so they need that.
Well, I think Harburg might be a better runner than Sims, which is interesting.
Well, he ran as physical as we've seen a Nebraska quarterback run in a long time. Maybe to the point where it was too much. Like, if you're going to be the long-term starter, you better start sliding. Run out of bounds, son.
Yeah. Can that running style last?
It can't. Not against Big Ten.
In a 9-game Big Ten conference.
Do that against Michigan. See what happens. All I'm saying is, but I agree with you, Sib. He did enough. And that's what Nebraska needed. That this is a game, it's one of those deals where, you can look at it as, wow, as Northern Illinois. They're not any good. Well, Nebraska's defense dominated. That was as dominant of a defensive performance we've seen from Nebraska in a long time. Outside of that final drive, they were on pace to have the fewest yards allowed in a game in decades. Mm-hmm. And then the offense, they scored. I mean, they weren't perfect, but they controlled the ball. They had the 1 turnover early. But that was just off a busted pass protection assignment. But other than that, they took care of the ball. They didn't shoot themselves in the foot. They scored when they needed to, and they ran for 96 yards in the fourth quarter. When they needed to take the game over, they took it over. Mm-hmm. The special teams was okay, but they didn't have any glaring mistakes. In fact, they had a couple good punts. So I think all in all, you talk about complimentary football. This was as good of a picture as all 3 elements have worked together that we've seen so far through these 3 games.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story of Heinrich Harburg, too. It's a great story for players in this program. I mean, this is a guy that literally Mark Whipple, Mickey Joseph kind of chuckled at the thought of Heinrich Harburg playing.
Whipple actually laughed when Heinrich
chuckled at the thought of Heinrich Harburg traveling, to a road game. They were traveling a walk-on over him last year at this time. And Harburg comes in, makes the most. I mean, he was in there knowing you don't get these chances very often. So much now in big time college football, a hand-picked guy gets the benefit of the doubt as a starting quarterback. Rarely do Heinrich Harburgs of the world in today's college football world get a fair shake to get game reps against an opponent you should win against. And he got those reps today, and he maximized those reps. And Yeah, I mean, was he perfect? No, but there were a lot of nice throws he made, the runs he made.
Oh yeah.
And this is the kind of football people just want to see Nebraska play, a physical brand of football where they don't shoot themselves in the foot and do dumb crap. And you leave, you're saying, like, God, we could have won this game if we didn't do stupid crap.
Right.
Like Heinrich Haarberg played a physical, defiant game of football where, he did his job and the defense complimented him. And I think a lot of people, that's the kind of football they want to see played.
He runs it. I mean, he runs it really hard. He plays with a lot of fire for sure. I like that. I really like that about me. I can't find much at all that I would say I would downgrade him for. It was interesting in warm-up. Sims, no brace on his ankle, no wrap that I could tell.
He was dressed out.
Yeah, Jeff Sims dressed out. I don't know what to make of that, but Haarberg clearly was the start. You could tell in warm-ups who was going to start. Haarberg was first in.
Well, very little stays secret around here. And
Right.
I think between just people talking, everybody, I think, knew Haarberg was going to start. I don't think it was like some sort of like stop the
Government
presses
secret.
moment when he
No.
started the game.
No, it wasn't. I think it was notable that Sims was giving him encouragement. That is a good sign for the team for sure. I just wonder what will happen if Sims is healthy in practice. Does it automatically now go back to Sims? It felt like it last week with Rhule's comments, that he would be the number. Remember,
He said Sims is Jeff's our quarterback.
Jeff's our number one quarterback. He said, if he's healthy, he's our number one quarterback. Now, is that the case? Will that be the case this week? If he's healthy, is he the number one? I don't know how he'll do this. Again, I'm not drumming up controversy.
Yeah.
I think that this is a win. I mean, first of all, it's not an ugly conversation with the quarterbacks because they won. Now we got to kind of consider the next step, and that's what will be interesting.
We got a super chat here from Thomas Carlson, and if you have a super chat, we'll get it on the show for sure. So throw it in, and we'll get it up. But has a comment. Sip has said Sims seems so nonchalant. Felt like the energy and the moxie that Haarberg played with tonight was much better than from Sims in the first two games. And thank you. And I think, Tommy, being at home makes a difference. I mean, it was electric in there tonight. It was completely sold out, beautiful weather. I mean, when you draw up what it means to come to a Nebraska game, these are the kind of nights you want to be in that stadium.
Yeah.
Grilling all day in the parking lot, drinking a Cornhead lager all day. We had to wait till the end of the day to have one. But, this is the kind of day we keep coming back for a night like tonight. And Haarberg took full advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, what does that mean? That's what Matt Rhule
question.
makes a lot of money to make those decisions.
Yeah. And so the conversation especially gets interesting too, is what if they go with Haarberg again and he plays well again? And obviously he's playing with that same fire. He's making plays in a dual threat capacity. Every team's rallying behind him, and they go out and they win 2 straight. And then what do you do with Michigan? I mean, like that's I think a real conversation.
I know,
because,
that's exactly.
because then you're given, they'd be 3 weeks removed from Jeff Sims' injury. You'd think that he'd be pretty close to healthy enough to play at least. What do you do in that setting against that team? I mean, that's we're like this week. I think that you can just continue it with Haarberg again, and probably it's the right move, because I still don't think you want to put a 70%, 80% Jeff Sims out there, because again, when he is at his best, he has to be running the football. For Nebraska's offense to be good, the quarterback has to run the football. And so do you risk further setback with that injury with Jeff Sims, and do you go away from something that actually worked for you?
Good.
And this is the best the offense has looked all season.
Yeah, and this is where two things. This is where you got to inject that Sims played 2 Power 5 programs on the road.
Yes.
Sims played 2 Power 5 programs on the road in very hostile environments. Power 5 programs that were much better than Northern Illinois. I mean, just a quarterback play, for instance. Haarberg was Joe Montana compared to Rocky Lombardi. I mean, he was.
Rocky Lombardi was 25 going on 35 tonight. I mean, he did not age well since 2018. I mean, we saw that guy in 2018 did not.
No.
I mean, he fell down on a sack. I mean, that was a big moment. I mean, they could have got 7 and it forced them to get 3. I mean, it kind of set the tone.
Yeah. Now, as a journalist, you guys are journalists, and I thought about this when I was coming over. You guys do it, I'm sure. You second guess what you write. like a coach second guesses fourth down calls. I mean, there's a part of me that just said, why didn't I just write that they should make Harburg the starter? I didn't feel in the moment like I could take that step. As I sit here, I kind of kick myself. I wonder if I should have just took that step.
Yeah.
And said, just do it. Just
Well,
make
Harburg didn't drop snap. I mean, Sims.
I know who Sean was.
Sims's mistakes
Mhm.
that he made, and they've tried to kind of shield those mistakes, but
They have.
he dropped snaps. He fumbled balls. He threw interceptions.
Bad interception.
I mean, it wasn't like this was Ray Lewis and Warren Sapp coming in and forcing turnovers.
No, it really was.
I mean,
No, it wasn't.
You're dating yourself there.
these are unforced.
Wasn't Aiden Hutchinson coming
Yeah,
off the edge.
There you go.
All right.
Or
well,
Warren Sapp.
before we pick up this conversation, let's this if you're joining us, by the way, we'll take your comments. We got some super chats to get to, but before we get to that, this segment and this postgame show brought to you by CHI Health. September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. This year, it's estimated that over 288,000 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and over 34,000 men will die of the disease. September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, and I want to remind you to talk to your healthcare provider about when to begin prostate cancer screenings. Men age 50 and older should talk with their healthcare provider about when to begin screenings. Finding prostate cancer early makes treatments easier. If you don't have a provider, CHI Health, visit their website, chihealth.com, to find a provider and a CHI Health clinic near you. Once again, thank you to CHI Health, here, a proud sponsor of the Husker Online show. Okay, gentlemen, we got 4 super chats here. So actually 5 now. So let's get to the chats here. Tyler Redwine, Sip. Do you see the drone outside the window right now?
Holy God.
By the way,
Don't do this to me.
and Megan, we've got a picture of the light show. How about those drones?
We can tell now.
I mean,
let's leave it to Robin here, who's a little younger than us. Explain the drones.
Okay, so they debuted that at volleyball night, where they have a choreographed, synchronized drone light show. You notice that above the jumbotron.
A choreographed drone light
Yeah,
show.
so they all have lights, and you can do different shapes and whatnot. They have been using them at music festivals for a long time. Like I see clips on the old Instagram reels.
I'm sorry.
Nothing.
Look at that. there we go.
Yeah.
So those are drones on that Nebraska map.
Hey, shout out Tyler too. We've used some of his stuff before. He did a drone shot of the construction of the new facility that we used for a content item one time. He said,
Tyler?
"Yeah, proud Husker Online member. Shout out Tyler."
Okay.
So he's the contractor that does the drone show.
Oh,
Really?
No, I don't know.
Oh,
I thought you said Tyler.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tyler
Tyler
Redwine.
Okay.
Our
Sorry.
guy, super chat guy. Yeah. Anyway, so long story short, that whole third quarter, fourth quarter break that took on a whole new element. Sip was getting like physically upset that they weren't getting to Thunderstruck.
visibly.
Sipple's like,
what's
Sipple
going
thought
on?
Thunderstruck got canceled.
Yeah, I was like, what's going on?
Where's Thunderstruck?
Then what happened?
It's hogwash.
I never said the word hogwash.
Well,
It never came out of my mouth.
you may not get another true light show again the rest of the way. I mean, we're 2:30 next week. We could be 11 or 2:30 against Michigan, and we don't know from there. So they had to really hit this one out of the park.
Hey, is Tyler serious about this drone outside the window?
Probably.
He does drones.
I was gonna say he's got a drone.
So what I was going to say, Sean, is he sent a drone down to the ticket on Friday when we opened that shop, and there was a drone in the front window, and I didn't know if it was like from China or. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Spy
Scared me at
technology,
first.
yeah.
I was so happy when Tyler he sent via Twitter that was actually his drone. I couldn't have
It
been
just
more,
was in the window of the ticket.
Yeah. I couldn't have been more relieved.
How was Coach Bush?
A little freaked out. I mean, we're old. I mean, we don't know exactly what's going on out there. But apparently, there wasn't anybody shaking their fist at the clouds. Tyler just had a drone downtown. He was just running a drone.
Some local TV station needs to kind of do like the story of the drones, like that. I mean, that like just what it looked. I
I
mean,
think they're pretty common.
I just want to see like, I mean, how many? So that's like each dot's a drone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Boy.
crazy to me.
South O 57.
Yeah.
South O 57.
I mean, count how many dots there. That's a lot of
a
drones.
lot of drones.
All
Just
right.
coordinated.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we're enough drone talk.
Yeah,
Chris
my God.
Diaz comes into the super chat. If Sims is healthy next week,
Okay.
I think you play Sims. If he plays well, you can play either quarterback against Michigan. If he doesn't, you know he's not the guy. What do you think, guy? I don't know. I think
I don't know.
you go Harburg another week, let Sims heal up. And then
What if he's healthy? What if he heals up Monday?
then you play them both.
Both.
I don't
Whom do you start?
Good question. Good question.
See,
Good question.
See, I didn't take Sean, you're my boss. Should I have taken a stand and said
You were a little nervous to swing the sword because you don't want to put I know where you're coming from. You don't want to put that kind of pressure on the coaching staff
oh yeah.
that you're leading this media charge
Right.
to bench Jeff Sims.
Right.
And I mean,
It wasn't now hold on.
and
Sean.
people
I'm not-
might do that in their columns.
Right. I'm not worried about the coaching staff. You know what I'm worried about? Fairness. I didn't think it would be fair because of what Sims faced versus what Harburg faced, which again, you saw the scene in Colorado. That was as hostile as you'll ever find.
Colorado doesn't have a good defense, though.
Sean,
I do not
Sean
think
is a Heinrich Harburg.
Minnesota does.
I do not
Minnesota does.
I do not think
Pretty-
Colorado has a good defense.
No, I don't either. I don't. But
As they
Sean,
just get
you
an
were in.
interception against
Sean, you
Colorado
were
State.
Sean. You were in the environment, and that was crazy. As crazy as I've seen in 30 years. Okay, so I think you got to take that into account. I just didn't feel comfortable saying you got to go with Harburg. I just didn't feel it, so I didn't write it.
The 2 QB thing is interesting to me
Yeah, it
because and I think one of our super chats mentions this. Rhule has done that. He did in the NFL where they used a 2 quarterback system. I know the old theory is if you have 2 quarterbacks, mean you don't have any, but I think this situation's
same.
different just
Yeah.
because of the 2 different viewpoints you can have on this current situation Nebraska's dealing with, where you have your hand-picked guy, a guy that Nebraska has invested a lot in a lot of different ways into. You're going to give up on him after 2 games in 2 hostile road environments against better competition than what the backup saw? Or do you go with the guy that just got you a win and looked pretty good, didn't turn the ball over outside of one busted pass protection? That's a conundrum to where I think that might be the solution, where you let both guys play and see within the same game against the same defense how they respond and how the rest of the team responds with each quarterback.
They're not
under
good
center.
enough to be cute, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Against Louisiana Tech, are you?
once again, they almost got beat by. This team last year almost got beat by North Dakota. They lost to Georgia Southern last year. I just don't know if Nebraska can mess around and act like they're Michigan.
Okay, is it good news or bad news that they're pretty similar quarterbacks? They're pretty similar.
Harburg goes through his progressions better. I'm
telling you, Sean is into Harburg.
No, I'm just saying. I watched Jeff Sims
Right.
look at guys,
Right.
telegraph
I know.
throws.
I totally agree.
Harburg. He looks like he makes looks. He sees guys. He saw Fedoni a couple. Some of those throws of Fedoni were good throws.
How would Harburg have been in those environments, though? I don't know.
That's a great question. All right, let's get to the next super chat. Cornhusker Corner. The offense actually operated.
Yep.
Heinrich Harburg is the starter.
Okay, now hold on a second. Cornhusker Corner took a stand.
You did.
There you go.
He wrote your column.
Just stop.
The logger's flowing already, guys. Sorry.
We have a conversation, and it's not. I don't think it was hot tonight because I think, like Sean kind of alluded to, they got a win. It felt good, and now I think the next step is okay. Now we got to figure out the quarterback situation. All right.
Yep.
It's big. It's big. It can divide a team.
It really can. And that's the other element to it. It's not just what the coaching staff thinks and what you and I think. It's like who the guy's going to rally around.
Exactly.
Well, think of the investment into Sims, not just the reps, but the NIL and all the other things that he has tied to him.
Yeah,
he's probably.
That's the thing. You're just going to end that after 2 games. Like that's a factor that fans don't want to hear about it, but it's legitimate.
In terms of NIL, he's
the
probably
investment made into Jeff Sims.
He's probably the highest paid NIL athlete in the NIL era at Nebraska.
Well, I know this. I drove through McDonald's today, and the line was like 22 deep. So to get my coffee, so I said, "No, I'm not doing this." I went into Havelock, and I went to the Amigos.
Ooh, you went to Schmiegs.
I went to Amigos and
Get the
Havelock.
Sims combo.
Yeah, and right on that where you order, on the what do you call that though? Whatever you
The
order.
screen,
The screen.
There you go.
the drones.
The screen right there on the screen in prominent, letters is here's the Jeff Sims combo. I mean, it's permanent on their screen. Nobody like added something to it. It's on there.
There were some internet wise guys that tried to act like the combo got canceled.
No, it
which
was
is-
on.
it's-
Well, it was on there this morning at 8:00. I will tell you that.
It's a crisp meat, a soft shell taco, and potatoes,
I think that was
and a
it.
drink
Yeah.
for like $10.
Yeah, you get the both. You get the best of both worlds: a soft taco and a hard one.
Does the combo now come with Heinrich Harburg? Is the question? Is it a Jeff Sims Heinrich Harburg combo?
That's the question.
All right.
I don't know.
Before I get to our next super chat, the segment here brought to you by, or the show brought to you by Bauer Underground. Bauer Underground is helping shape Nebraska's infrastructure future and is looking for new members to join the team. With open positions for laborers, equipment operators, aerial linemen, and foremen, Bauer Underground is searching for the best in construction. Visit BauerUnderground.com to learn more about career opportunities and industry-leading benefits, including competitive pay, employer-paid health insurance, dental, disability, vision, and life insurance, 401k match, new top-of-the-line equipment, and clothing allowances. No experience is needed with Bauer Underground. Bauer will train the right people, giving you hands-on experience that you'll need to build a rewarding career. Want to learn more? Visit Bauer Underground on Facebook to view the testimonials from Bauer teammates, hear about the experiences, the company culture, and the importance of their work. Bauer Underground is a family-owned company with crews and work sites across Nebraska. Wherever you live, Bauer has an opportunity for you. For more information, like Bauer Underground on Facebook or visit BauerUnderground.com. Come start your new career today. And Sip and I were able to swing by and say hi to the Bauer crew. And they were actually hosting Tommy Frazier and Eric Crouch today in their suite for a Make-A-Wish deal that they were
that's
working.
what that was?
Yeah, there was a young boy and his family, and they had Eric Crouch and Tommy Frazier in the suite with the family.
Nice.
And so we stopped in and said hello, and great people.
Yeah.
Proud to be associated with Bauer Underground here. That they're great supporters here of the Husker Online show.
Yeah, it was cool. And it was cool talking to Crouch because Crouch was talking about how he made his first start. I don't know, you guys are younger guys, in 1998 against Alabama Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he remembers that every word he said he was thinking about every word he said in the huddle. He said it was nerve-wracking. His urine was orange. From dehydration. Is that
Little
might be
TMI.
Is that TMI? The orange urine,
Little TMI there.
orange
It's
crush.
awfully graphic.
Is it really graphic? You ever worked in a old folks home, nurse?
Have not known.
They would not say it's graphic. Anyway,
And you're drinking Diet Dr. Pepper, by the way. Sibyl's not even drinking.
anyway, Heinrich. I thought Heinrich handled his nerve. If he was nervous, he handled it really well, and it helped that they scored a touchdown on their first drive, and he gunned that. I think it was a 26-yard completion to Marcus Washington, zipped it, got him deep into Huskies territory. So got off to a good start. Never really, I don't know. Did you? I never thought he had any rough patches.
There was a stretch where they
Little
had the fumble and then 3 straight 3-and-outs.
Okay, the fumble that
They had bad field position, too.
Yeah. So that didn't help. So,
Okay.
I mean, like the offense got a little stagnant, but guess what? He found a way to make plays.
They didn't shoot themselves in the
Yeah,
foot.
he leaned on the defense, as you should with that defense. That defense is legit, and they showed it.
All right, should we
again
talk
tonight.
about the defense a little bit?
But yeah, we've got 8 super chats.
All
So
right.
let me I don't want to get too far behind because I know we're gonna get more. This is from Jacob here. Rhule has a history of using multiple quarterbacks in the game to whoever has the hot hand. Darnold and Newton and PJ Walker in Carolina. Do you think we could see a 2-quarterback system in the future? And I think that's going to be something I'm going to guess that Rhule will keep that very close to the best. I don't think he's just going to give that up if that's his plan.
Yeah.
I think they're going to. This week he was very close to the best. Hey guys, they knew Harburg was going to start on Tuesday. I think they knew on Tuesday.
Well, he said after Wednesday's practice it was solidified, but they probably had a pretty good idea even before then.
After Wednesday's practice, it was solidified.
Yeah, he said Harburg had a really good Tuesday and a really good Wednesday.
Okay, so I heard him say that. So you don't have the opportunity as a media member to sit down with Matt Rhule in a bar. But if I was sitting down with him in a bar, I'd say, no, wait a second. When you said that Harburg solidified it with practices Tuesday and Wednesday, good practices Tuesday and Wednesday, what are you saying here? Are you saying that it's possible still that Sims would have played if Harburg didn't have those good practices? Would it have been Chubba? What are we talking about?
Well, he was only listed as questionable on the game report. So
who's that?
Sims.
So he was the only player listed.
I think he was technically available tonight.
Do you?
Well, they dressed him. They didn't. I mean, you can't. I mean, as Rhule, I think you can't really lie on those sheets. I mean, if he's out, you can't say he's not out.
Right. I got you.
All right. Looking here. Cole wants to chime in here. If Sims is good, use him against Louisiana Tech to get confidence up. What do you think about that idea? Go back to Sims this week to get his confidence up before Michigan.
I'm telling you, the more you talk about it, the more you realize this is going to be interesting. I guess I'm open to the idea of what you guys are saying, using 2 against Louisiana Tech and seeing how it shakes out. I just like Matt Rhule said, though, we're talking about a hypothetical because we don't know if Sims will be ready. We just don't know.
Right.
So I don't know.
And if you're going to do it, Louisiana Tech's probably your last opportunity to do it.
To try 2.
You try that against Michigan. You know, I don't think that's probably a good idea. I think you need to have your guy and game plan around your guy. Because when you start getting too cute in conference play, that's when things get tough.
I do like that they're both similar guys, that they're both heavily involved in
the
the run game.
drastic change between one or the other.
No, so I think that helps the unit as a whole. I know it helps the offensive line. We've covered these things before where they use 2, and it can be difficult for an offensive line when the quarterbacks are markedly different in style. These guys aren't different in style.
In this offense, it's a downhill, 2 tight end, 2 back style type offense. It's just win your blocks and run downhill. I mean, they're not trying to junk it up.
No, they don't. They really don't.
I mean, it is a complete. I mean, like Scott Frost, like they tried to junk it up. They did not. I mean, the kind of football we watched tonight, we didn't see that for 5 years.
No, we didn't. It's simplified.
Like, other than the one stretch against Ohio State in 2019 where it worked, and then they stopped doing it the rest of the game.
You know what this game
remember
reminded
when they
me
called
of?
timeout?
Yeah. This game reminded me of Iowa, where the offense didn't do much, but they did enough. Up. The defense dominated, and they made plays on special teams. Like, that might be their formula for this year. Now, hopefully, as the things evolve, the offense gets a little bit more dynamic, and you don't just get by offensively. But I think when you look at, can this recipe work in the Big Ten, Iowa shows it can.
It can. Now, you're right. Now, the one thing Iowa has had in recent years that Nebraska clearly doesn't is a return man. They had Charlie Jones. Mm-hmm. They've had others.
Cooper DeJean now, or DeJean.
Yeah, and they've had others. Nebraska doesn't have an explosive return man, but their special teams have been good. Buschini was back today, closer to the normal Buschini than he was at Colorado, where he hit a 25-yarder, hit a 35-yarder. Tonight it was sort of back to normal. Kickoffs were good for the most part. Alvano hit one out of bounds inexplicably. The return game was okay-ish. They don't have – Kemp is not an explosive return man. It doesn't look like to me.
He's going to catch it and get you up to 10 yards.
Yeah.
And that's a win.
Yeah, if he does.
Compared to what we've watched the last several years.
Yeah. The defense is the identity, right? It's quickly become the identity.
And that's what Rhule said. He said his message to the defense, like, we are a defensive team.
How about that?
Embrace it.
There it is.
Because that's what they are. That's the reality.
Yeah.
They don't have the playmakers on offense to be a dynamic offense. Their special teams is good for the most part, but they're not dynamic.
Oh, man.
They are dynamic is at all 3 levels of that defense.
Right.
They have playmakers on that side of the ball.
Right.
All right.
Now, one thing, Sean, if I'm Rhule, I'm saying the defense and the special teams are our identity. It's got to be both, because you're not going to win many games if one phase is really good.
Yeah,
They got to have two.
It's
Going.
just, I mean, like this is not 09 Nebraska defense, but that's how they have to play it.
Yeah.
Remember Sean Watson embraced that in 09,
Mhm.
and he used the Jim Tressa, Ohio State. You know, they beat Oklahoma in 09.
Who was the 09 quarterback?
Zach
Okay.
Lee and Cody Green.
Can I go out on a limb right here? I like Harburg better than either of those guys.
The difference was that offensive line had multiple pros, and you had Roy Halou and Rex Burkhead at running
take
back.
those running backs.
Yeah, you put Halou and Rex behind either Sims or Harburg, they're going to look a lot better. Hello.
All right. I got 8 super chats, but 2 of them are from Tyler. Tyler dropped in 2 different chats. Just wanted to clarify to you, Robin, that he is not the drone show guy, but was very humble.
Oh, wait a second. What now?
No.
I was like, whoa, like Tyler was the guy that did the drone show. I was
Okay.
kind of like starstruck
he's
for a
not.
minute there.
He's just a dude with a drone.
Put that beer down.
Tyler, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. The guy that did the drone show is in the super
chime
chats
in.
here.
Well, yeah, you're.
Cole, how about Rhule guys getting booed on the first play because they had to call timeout?
Yeah, I didn't even notice.
I didn't notice it.
But he mentioned it. He was like, I've been booed. We got booed on the first play. I'm used to that. That happened in Philadelphia. So apparently they got booed. I was coming up. I was down on the sidelines coming up in the elevator, so I missed the first
We were in the press box, Sean. People are going to make fun of us. You can't hear everything in a press box in the crowd.
I mean, I can hear we sit behind in front of the stat guys that there's like 10 guys that keep track of the stats during the game. And I mean, we hear those guys more than the crowd. I mean, because it's a really interactive crew behind us. And
it's a vacuum in that press box too. You don't get the full crowd noise experience.
No.
Like Colorado, they could open the windows and you could hear everything. So you really got to feel that environment.
Well, we walked in the Bauer suite, and it's on level 6 where we sit. It's a completely different feel when you walk into like a suite with the windows open versus where we have to sit.
Yeah, I could hear Shador talking about Rhule mocking his daddy. No, you could hear a lot.
All right, we got 5 more to get to, but before I get to the super chats, this segment of the show brought to you by Caldera Lab Men's Skincare. Guys, you brush your teeth daily. Why is that? Because it's healthy and it's part of your day, and you don't want bad teeth. Well, your face is the same thing. Take great care of your face. You only got one face. A daily skin regimen is very important, and Caldera Lab is geared to make your face look younger. I mean, a lot of us are in our 40s, 50s. It's a great product. I've been using it here, backed by legit clinical trials that have found that 94% of men's skin have showed overall younger looking appearances after using the products for only a few weeks. Caldera Lab is a regimen that you've been looking for. It's 3 products. It takes about a minute in the morning and 1 minute at night to do. Super easy. I've been using it for a couple of months now, and I definitely have noticed just the differences in how you feel after you put it on. It just makes you feel younger and fresher. We got a great deal right now. 20% off if you visit calderalab.com. You'll get 20% off by using code Husker. Once again, that's 20% off with code Husker at calderalab.com to get the HuskerOnline special. Thanks again to Caldera Lab for being a proud sponsor here of the HuskerOnline postgame show. All right, let's dig back into the super chats. James, Rhule won his home opener. The last first-year head coach to do that was Bo Pelini, guys, because if you remember, Mike Riley lost to BYU on his home opener, and Scott Frost didn't get his Akron game and lost to Colorado. So, great point there, James.
Yep, thank you.
Crazy.
This was significant. I don't have to tell you what it would have been like around here had they lost. I would say this, though, that if it was, this is not just a Nebraska conversation. If Tennessee was 0-3 with a home loss to Northern Illinois, it'd be a shit show.
This is a family show. Luckily, we're not on a radio affiliate.
Put that Diet Dr.
Show.
Pepper down. Gee whiz.
Can you say that? If Notre Dame was 0-3,
I didn't realize in the Journal Star you were allowed to use that word.
If Notre Dame was 0-3 with the loss to Northern Illinois, same. Florida, Miami, and just name a big time program. They avoided that. And you know what? They comfortably avoided it, which I'm heartened by. It wasn't a freak show tonight.
No.
It was a good, solid win.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that means something.
Like,
I know it means
No, I thought this was going to be one of those games. Like, people were saying, like, how do you think it's going to go? It's like, I think Nebraska wins. I picked them to cover, but I felt like it was going to be one of those games where, like, it's too close for comfort.
Yeah.
Late, like early fourth
Wasn't.
quarter, it's a 1-score game and
Yeah.
people are getting nervous. No, it wasn't.
I expected
Game was in control.
Lombardi to make more throws. I mean, he was not. I thought he'd be a lot better. I mean, I thought he'd be at least more competitive in this game. But that goes back to the defense. Give Nebraska's defense credit.
Yeah, let's get into the defense.
Yeah, we'll talk. We have super chats to get to, but I want to hit on the defense here because Tony White deserves a game ball. That defense, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer brought up a great point on BTN this week. He goes, the challenge with the 3-3-5 is you don't know where it's coming from, and you have the ability to drop 8, and that's really hard for quarterbacks to make throws when 8 people are back.
Yep. Urban Meyer was very complimentary of Nebraska's defense. You understand why. They are big. It's a big physical unit. Veteran is a veteran unit. They sprinkle in young guys, but there's a lot of very veteran savvy players playing, and man, they get to the ball. They get to the ball in numbers. I think you'll see fewer big plays given up from this defense because one great way to hold down big plays is what? Have multiple guys at the ball. One guy misses, the other guy's there. We didn't see that last year as much, especially early in the season. They didn't have multiple guys at the ball. They weren't rallying to the ball as hard with as many guys. Rhule said, it was interesting after the game. Rhule said, I don't know. I don't want to say, he goes, I really don't know who played well on defense because they all played really well. Or, he said, I don't want to identify anybody because they all played really well. Yeah. It was kind of like that. I was watching too. I wanted to kind of single out some people in the column.
Thought Nash helped Mock.
Nash would be the one.
Out.
Yeah, Nash would be the one.
6 tackles.
Javin Wright played well.
6 tackles for Nash, career high for tackles for loss, half a sack. You go back to last season, he had 15 tackles all year. He's got 10 already through 3 games.
Yeah, he's playing well.
Colorado State guys, 28-17 now.
Hello.
Jay Norvell.
Jay Norvell could have an epic win. An epic win.
Ultimate sword swinging boulder.
Yeah.
Hey, what if they win? What's Jay Norvell going to say to Colorado?
Oh God.
I don't know if they'll shake hands.
It's not going to be all wine and roses, Dion.
Jay Norvell, if you don't know this, so in 05 or 04, it was probably 04.
He's not from the
when they took over at Nebraska in 04 with Bill Callahan. They struggled with Joe Daly on offense. He was the offensive coordinator, and he just goes, Sip, we knew it was not going to be all wine and roses.
You got such a good Norvell.
He did say that. So, yeah, back to the defense and away from Jay Norvell for a second. They have a lot of different guys playing well. But Nash is a good example. Hey, hold on. Nash is a good example of development. We talk about Nebraska becoming a developmental being a developmental program.
John Bullock, another guy.
Yeah, they're all over the field. Examples of guys that have
developed. Bayer.
Yeah, Mekhi Bayer is the most shining example. Mm-hmm. Bullock, though, you're right, Sean. John Bullock is a shining example. They move him from nickel to inside linebacker,
and he looks like a dude now.
And he's a dude.
And MJ Sherman, by the way, gets a sack tonight. That was a notable moment. Jamari Butler gets a sack.
You want more development? How about AJ Rollins? 4 tackles.
Yeah.
He's a tight end.
Who had the pick that got called off?
Newsome.
So that looked like it was. They didn't overturn. They didn't even review it. In Nebraska was out of challenges, but they could have had 2 turnovers tonight. And Javin Wright had a great pick. He and Damon Benning and Greg Sharp were talking about him at that moment, and then he just comes up with a big play there.
Yeah, now you got to watch. You got to watch that injury to Cam Lenhart. I don't know what that is, but have you heard anything?
Well, they just said Matt Rhule said he was injured after the game, but I know afterwards, like as soon as the game ended, he was still in uniform and he was walking.
Okay.
Like there's pictures of him walking off the field. So
okay. Good.
Was it a shoulder stinger?
Yeah.
I mean, it was something like that. I
Be
don't
an
know.
upper body deal. I don't know, but he did play. He started the game, but the injury must
Came
have
out
happened
early.
because he didn't play
Right.
really at all beyond that first series or two.
And Sip, this is an interesting comment in the post game. Matt Rhule, super chat here from STZ. Love head coach Matt Rhule giving credit to the old coaches like Bill Bush, Mike Dawson, and some other previous defensive Shenander. And that Rhule is like the only coach we've been around that's comfortable enough in his role as the new Nebraska head coach. That's like cool with like saying, hey, there were some guys here that knew how to coach football and did a good job.
Yeah, Rhule shows this very magnanimous side of him when he does that. It's appealing. Yeah, he gave Dawson Mike Dawson, a lot of credit because they're good up front.
Well, Lynn Hart was his guy that he brought here.
Lynn Hart was his guy, and he helped develop a guy like Nash and a guy like Blaze Gunnarsson, guys like the other guys. Shenander, same way. So yeah, it is. I always find it interesting that Rhule does that. I think it's sort of a nod to his sort of overall respect for the game, that he respects other coaches and what they do, and then probably what they go through too. Because let's face it, he's gone through it. The guy got booed out of Carolina. I mean, he knows what it's like to get fired. He knows the ups and downs of this thing, and that's why I go back to the importance of tonight. I know that coaching staff felt some pressure. I know it did.
Yeah.
It seems a little odd to talk about it that way 3 games in, but that was the fact. I mean, those first 2 losses were rough. They're rugged losses.
This was a must-win situation. No. And I say that not just in terms of them keeping their bowl hopes alive, but Rhule said it. He said they needed to give everyone in the building and outside the building something to believe in.
Belief.
Like this is working. Like if we do what we're supposed to do, this can and will work. And they did it. And they dominated.
All right.
If they lose the game, I will agree with you. I don't know about must, but it gets hard to sell it, especially to the fan base.
I agree.
Or you get empty seats. You get $10 tickets on StubHub. Yep. I mean, it just changes quickly. All right, got 4 more super chats. We have to slide through here. Her Dizzle. Not trying to be sarcastic in this, but we always talk about learning how to win. Well, there is only one starting quarterback on the roster who has won. How could you start Sims again? That's a head coach deal. Like Matt Rhule has to make the 7-8 million, whatever his salary, whatever his 84 million. I mean, that's his decision. He has to decide. That's why he makes the big bucks.
You got to watch practice really closely. If Sims is able to practice, that's what it becomes.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
What is Tuesday? What's Tuesday look like?
Yeah. Who's competing? I mean, who Harburg's going to. How does Sims come back? I mean, does he come back fired?
Is he fighting for the job, or does he think that he's expected to be handed
Sims
to him?
was very complimentary on the sidelines. Like he was cheering for Harburg.
Yeah, Harburg said that Sims was great.
Yeah.
So this wasn't
supportive.
like a bad body language deal by any means. And I think that needs to be noted.
Absolutely.
It does.
Yeah, it does. So now, again, you just got to go back to practice now, which we don't see. And we don't know we don't know how it's going. We also don't know the other big unknown is how healthy or unhealthy Sims is. Can't gauge it.
And that to me is the biggest factor.
Oh God, it's huge.
All right, let me get in our final sponsor here of the night on the show here is Homefield Apparel. Whether you are attending Nebraska games in person or watching from home, you have to look as the part as a Husker fan. We've partnered with Homefield Apparel to get you looking like a true Husker fan on game days. Homefield is a premium collegiate apparel brand based in Indianapolis. They emphasize their commitment to creating incredibly comfortable, officially licensed apparel with vintage college designs. Homefield designs are super unique because they delved into the archives and the history of each school using unique logos, mascots, and iconic moments to create thoughtfully designed apparel. They've just got, I think a lot of Husker fans, when they go buy gear, you see kind of the same stuff. It's very unique gear. I urge you to check out homefieldapparel.com, and you can check out all of their different Husker items available. And guess what? We've got a deal for HuskerOnline listeners. Get 15% off your order with discount code Huskers23. Visit homefieldapparel.com. Use code Huskers23 for 15% off. Thanks again to Homefield Apparel for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online postgame show. All right, Alex has a comment here in the super chat. Any sign that the pass protection ever gets sorted out? Or did it look sorted out tonight? I mean, there was the one breakdown, and that play where Ben Hart got beat, which led to the sack fumble on Harburg. The whole play was kind of discombobulated. I mean, the timing of everything was off there. So was that on just the execution of the entire play? I don't know, but Harburg did a good job of making the right decisions when the rush came at him.
You know, back in the day when Milt Tenneper was the coach, the offensive line coach, guys, I would go down after the game, and I learned my lesson eventually, but I would ask Milt for an evaluation of the offensive line, and invariably, he'd say, "Sip, I got to see the film." And that's what I kind of like that. Robin's pretty good about evaluating the O-line on the fly. I'm not. I have to go back and watch it. I thought the protection was decent. I just go by Heinrich's numbers are decent. 14 for 24. How many yards did he throw for? Quite a few. What's the number here? Hold on.
I got you.
14 for 24 for 158. I thought the protection was okay, didn't you? I mean, he had some time at times.
What I liked was that he didn't just sit in the pocket and wait for the pressure to get to him. When he felt the pressure, he took off and ran.
He has that.
That's why he had almost 100 yards rushing. Like that
do that.
scrambling ability. That's where he got some of his biggest chunk runs.
Oh, he's a bear.
So that's what Sims, if Sims does play again, he needs to do more of that. Because like you can't sit there in that pocket with the way that offensive line has been blocking and expect to just have 7 seconds or whatever to go through all your projections.
Okay, now earlier, however, you said that Harburg can't keep running like that. So there is a fine line.
Well, there's one thing to run. There's another thing to lower your shoulder and take on a linebacker head on. Like you could run smart while also being aggressive.
Guys, the drive of the game was in the third quarter where Harburg had 4 third down conversions.
Yes.
3rd and 15. He goes 20 yards to Thomas Fedoni. Great throw.
Around the
3rd and 4. Throws it to Gabe Irvin for 8 yards out of the backfield. Gets first down. 3rd and 10. He goes to Alex Bullock for 33 yards. And there was a penalty, unfortunately, that moved that back, but the first down stood. Great play. Then on 3rd and 1, he runs it in for a first down, and then Gabe Irvin finishes it off with a touchdown. But he had 4 third down conversions on one drive.
14 play drive.
14 play. I mean, that was kind of the backbreaker for Northern Illinois. They at that point, the dam broke.
Well, they'd been really bad on 3rd down, pretty much up into that point where they start like 1 of 7 or something like that. So like, to be that kind of offense, you have to be efficient on 3rd down. Like if you're gonna get chunk at a time, little chunk at a time, you got to be able to get the chains moved. And so when they started doing that, all of a sudden that offense started to really get rolling. And you saw in the second half, you don't rush for 96 yards in the third quarter or fourth quarter without being able to have those long drives leading up to that point, to where by the time you reach that final 15 minutes, they're shot. Northern Illinois' defense, they're a good defense, or at least for a MAC level, they're a good MAC defense.
Big front.
And they were worn down.
Well, Matt Rhule said during the week that their defensive line was was just as good or better than Minnesota and Colorado. Now, was that coach speak?
They were big.
I mean, they beat Boston College, who took Florida State. If you're going to play the he said, she said game where they played them and you played them type game, I mean, that gets your attention.
It does. I got a football question for you guys. Shouldn't pass protection be easier with the style that Nebraska uses, which is a lot of play action? If you're a good, strong downhill running game, the pass protection should be easier, right?
Should.
As long as you're on schedule. And early in the game, Nebraska got off schedule on early first down play, like the reverse play, the Tommy Hill.
That was a bad call. I'm not.
They've been trying like hell to get Tommy Hill going.
I am not
It
big
ain't
on
working.
second guessing calls, but that's not Nebraska. That's not what this offense is. Why run a reverse on first down when you're you just came off of a good drive where you were doing things that made sense, that were in your
And
in
they
the
seem to
context
be,
of your system, and then you start with why do you start with
and
the
they were
numbers?
ready for it. I mean,
Yeah.
they kind of had it starred like, okay, this guy's fast, be
Tommy
ready
Hill's
for
in there, yeah.
something. They're not having this guy in the block.
Yeah.
It's because they're looking for some sort of
Explosion.
explosion on that
Okay.
offense. Right now, they don't
Good
have any.
point.
I
No,
mean,
that's a
you-
good point.
like if you're getting a 20-yard play, like that's maybe like the long gain for the game right now. I mean, like they don't have those game-changing receivers. They don't have that downfield
Right.
threat in the passing game.
Toure Palmer.
Right. And so they don't have that dude.
Nope.
And so they got to try to come up with ways, whether it's putting Tommy Hill out there or run reverses or whatever it is, to try to supplement that. You saw in the opener when they did the trick play right out of the gates, like because they just didn't have that ability to keep the defense honest with what they were doing.
Guys, I mean, Northern Illinois had no runs of 10 plus yards, and Nebraska had 10.
Ooh, that's a good stat.
Mhm.
And then
Wait a second. Say that again.
so Northern Illinois, no runs of 10 plus yards. Nebraska had 10. Nebraska produced 4 pass plays of 15 plus yards. Northern Illinois did not have a pass play over 20 yards. They had a 17 and an 18-yard gain. So in terms of explosion plays in this game that they tracked, Nebraska had 14 of them. Northern Illinois had 2.
Okay, so what's the deal with Ramir?
Don't know, but he wasn't even uniform coming out of the locker room at halftime.
Okay, that's one to watch.
That was so Gabe Irvin. He was also listed as being hurt
boy.
by Matt Rhule, but he spoke after the game.
Okay, that's
and
a
he
good
looks
sign.
in fine spirits.
That's a good sign.
So that one appears to be minor.
Okay.
Cam Lenhart was still in uniform
Okay.
as they walked off the field to end the game. You would think that that's relatively minor, but Ramir, that one is probably one worth monitoring.
And it's worth noting he started the game.
But hey, but that same conversation, how about the return of Anthony Grant?
Yeah. Grant.
Couldn't have picked better timing with that one. Anthony Grant ran 7 times for 46 yards and a touchdown, 6.6 yards per carry.
Nice.
And Sip, you've been the conductor of the Anthony Grant train for a long time now. And you saw why today. Like, he's that guy that when he gets hit on a 2-yard run, he just muscles his way for 3 more yards.
He's got wiggle too.
Yeah.
He's got more wiggle.
Yeah. I mean, he runs violently.
He does.
I
I
love that
still believe he is their best back, not by a long way, but we have now a big sample size of Irvin, who I like. I like Irvin. Gabe Irvin's a nice running back. I think Grant has proven to be a little bit better. But anyway, they're both going to play a lot now, especially if Ramir is out. We got to watch that close this week. That's
How about Trevin Lubin, 18-yard run, by the way?
Look at that.
It's a big story going forward. That's a big story going forward. Johnson's situation. It is.
All right, 4 super chats to get in here. Jared Moody, who we met at Boulder Cork Steakhouse last week when we were not wearing our red shirts, by the way, guys. We were wearing just standard black and blue shirts.
A lot of earth tones.
I think, a lot of earth
We
tone.
took a lot of guff on our, and it was kind of a joke. People were having fun of this. We're like, "Where's your red?" But anyway, Jared chimes in. It was fun to meet you guys at Boulder Cork. My brother and I came over and I talked to you guys. Is Harburg is just a gamer.
I liked his demeanor a lot. So did Sean, obviously, because he's leading the charge for Harburg.
I'm just. You want to?
I kinda
just
do.
Don't. You don't want to get accused of like misleading.
No, Sean. I'm talking about. It's all about fairness to me. I just don't know if it would be fair because of the situation.
Because he didn't drop any snaps.
No. Because he didn't play. Because the situation was much more tenable for Harburg. It was a home game, friendly confines, a team that wasn't going to score much, and Heinrich knew it. The opposing team, way different.
The
way
drone
different
show
pressure.
even, the drones here went Harburg.
That would be amazing if they did.
If the guy doing the drone show is like F it.
Sean can't handle this.
Harburg.
Yeah. Can't wait. To that point, though, also shout out Jared. Good to meet you too.
Christmas.
When the Harburg gamer situation, like it kind of goes back to a point that you made where it's Harburg played like a guy that was like trying to win the job.
Yeah.
Whereas Sims has been playing like a guy that was handed the job.
little casual in my opinion.
And so that, I think, when you want to talk about is he a gamer, he's playing like he's got everything to win. Harburg does.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen that from Sims yet.
Well, maybe we will now.
Maybe now that the pressure's on.
Right, because Sims was handed this job, wouldn't you
was.
say? Is it? Can I say that?
No, he absolutely was.
Yeah.
I mean, he was signed as a free agent quarterback,
Right.
essentially, and he's paid handsomely.
And
He's got his own combo meal. He's got his own tractor deal. He's got his own suit deal.
He pretty much won the job. We'll say won the job in the spring. And I mean, who was going to come on? He was the number one guy in the spring.
But they've led the nation in turnovers the first 2 weeks.
Right. He was the number one guy coming out of camp. So maybe now the other part of this conversation that we haven't had until this point, maybe this does light a fire under him. You know, maybe you see a little bit less casual Jeff Sims. I thought his footwork's a little casual too, by the way. So that it could really be helpful. Who got a score in Colorado?
Yeah, they just got a big first
Huge
down.
third down.
All right, 5 super chats here. I got to squeeze through
Holy
here.
God.
Yeah, no.
Tyler Redwine, again, who's been great, our drone guy.
Yes, thanks, Tyler.
Do you think Heinrich Harburg realizes the Hulk that he is? He seemed to shy away from contact on the edge. By the way, how's the NIL beer? Everyone take a drink. Go Big Red. It's great. This 1890 Cornhead Lager. I picked up some at Hy-Vee. I think my wife even had one. She's like, I want to try one. And had one today during the game. But all the Hy-Vees have it. I know Tanner's carries it in Lincoln for sure, and I believe the Omaha ones. And it is on
Tanner's.
Tanner's Sports Bar, and some places have it on tap too. Like I know Firethorn carries it on tap, so you can get it on tap. It's $10 a 6-pack, but I do think, like Robin and I, the proceeds do go. Part of the proceeds go to Husker student athletes. So
yeah, that's kind of the whole intent behind it, is the fact that it helps fund the 1890 NIL. And as far as the beer, it's an easy drinking lager. You could easily throw down 10 at a tailgate and feel just fine.
It's a 4.5%. I mean, so it's
Okay.
What?
It's. I mean, it's not a.
Throw down
What was that? What's that beer from Kearney?
Oh, the
Thunderhead.
Corona.
I know what you're talking about.
The honey wheat lager, or the honey wheat they had, and that was like a 7 or an 8.
Yeah, it ain't.
And I mean that sets you back a couple steps.
This is
I mean,
4.5.
This is a nice 4.5 beer. So thank you, Tyler, for your comment. All right, let's get Eric's comment in now. With the score at 14-3 for a while, unlike in the past, tonight I didn't feel any worry about the game. It just felt under control. And I do think you make a great point, Eric. That goes back to the way the defense was playing, the way the special teams was playing, but most importantly, the way Harburg was playing. He was not trying to force the issue.
Yeah, and that goes back to my point where, like, this game just never felt out of control for Nebraska. Even, like you said, at 14-3, where, like, in a normal circumstance, you know, it's only a 2-score game, like, things could flip. It never felt like it was going to. And that, to me, goes back, like Sean said, to the defense. And when you are playing defense at that level, you know, when you talk about further things that helped Heinrich Harburg, he's got that defense. So, like, you do not have to try to force things. You don't have to try to win the game every single play.
No.
And a Nebraska quarterback hasn't been able to have that in a long time.
I just wonder how often you're going to have it. Keep in mind, we got to keep in mind the opponent, because it wasn't that way last week even.
Yeah.
I mean, the defense, I mean, again, clouded. The conversation clouded by the turnovers. I mean, I ask you the question. If Sims doesn't turn it over twice late in the second quarter, is Colorado still struggling to get to 21 points in the fourth quarter? And then it's a ball game if that's the case.
Yeah.
You just don't know. You know, you have no idea. I shouldn't have even asked a question. Again, Satterfield last week was correct. He said the turnovers just clouded everything. It clouded any progress the offense makes.
In both games.
Yeah, both games. And now you have thankfully, the conversation shifts a little bit. You know, we kind of know what it looks like when they don't turn it over. They still got work to do up front. They averaged 5.1 yards a carry tonight, which was good. They ran for 224, 224 yards, 5.1 yards a carry. That's pretty good. I just wonder how that would translate against a good Big Ten team.
All right, guys, we got 4 more, and we're about an hour in, so I don't want to take this too much later here tonight.
What time? Yeah, are we an hour in?
Yeah.
Holy crap!
It's only 12:39.
So but Jacob just has a quick shout out to West Side Product, Kate Haberman, making a couple of plays tonight, and we met one of Cade's relatives in the gas station in O'Neill this year. Remember?
God, that's Sean. You got a great memory.
We were at a Taco John's in O'Neill on our way back from a Carter Nelson announcement press conference, and he told us that Northern Illinois' defense would give Nebraska some fits. Remember that?
God, he did. He did actually say that. You're right.
And then Cade's father is now the new head football coach of Gretna East. But, tough night for Northern Illinois, but great to see some local guys playing for them. Jamie chimes in on the super chat. Sip, you have to wear that gray button-up shirt on Fridays from now on. It's good luck. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, I walked into the show at the ticket on Friday with a shirt that everybody thought that was like a shirt I would wear to a club, kind of a shiny silver shirt. Like even one of the workers there that was helping like with the computer stuff said, you just getting in from the night. And I'm like, come on. And I guess I had the button down a little too far. It's a little too much chest
Such a
showing.
full Vegas nightclub vibe going on.
Yeah. So,
Somebody asked if you're drunk, but Simple hasn't even had a beer. Robin and I have had one beer. If anyone wants it, like we're just having fun.
no, I'm not drunk. I haven't had any alcohol all weekend. So
No, we don't. I mean, on game day, like we get to have one beer in the post game
No.
show. It's a lot of fun just to sit here
I'm
and
a little tired. I will say that.
We're just basking in the glory. What a punt by Colorado State.
Colorado State's going to maybe win this thing.
Well, it's a 1-score game, 2 minutes left. Colorado's got to go 98 yards.
Okay, that's
2
a
minutes.
huge win for Jay Norvell if he pulls this off. My God, that's a big win.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah, that's a flex. It's a serious flex by Norvell.
He'll say, "Is game day coming to Fort Collins?"
You know what I liked about this whole deal is that they never backed down from Colorado.
No,
Like they went right at him. They even got a little dirty with them. And look at this.
They probably get real tired of being in the shadow.
I'll bet.
They're in a deep
Well, that
shadow.
rivalry has always been heated.
It has, but they're in a deep shadow.
Yep, no doubt.
I compare it to Bill Fenley, the Iowa State women's basketball coach, always getting up every single morning and reading about Caitlin Clark. It's got to get super old.
In some ways, in volleyball in the state, like Creighton's got a great program.
Super old for it's got to be old for Creighton to always battle that.
But Robin deals with Nebraska basketball on the other end with Creighton basketball.
it gets old.
All right.
No
Nathan Detterman here with a super chat. First of all, I love you guys. Well, thank you, Nathan.
Love you too, Nathan.
Can you honestly say Sims looks better than Heiner Carberg at any facet? Yes, home game, but NIU has a better ranked defense than Colorado. What do you say, boys?
Yeah.
That environment at Colorado was odd in a very raucous way. Come on, you guys were there. That wasn't normal.
I still go back to Nebraska had control though in the second quarter where it could have looked a little bit like tonight.
Yes,
And
I agree with you that
they screwed the pooch. I mean, they dropped the ball. They did
Literally.
And that is like a breaking point for Nebraska fans right now. Unforced errors that are preventable.
Mhm.
Just play clean.
Rhule has to think about this too. If he puts Sims back in and there are some debilitating turnovers that God forbid would cost them a win.
It get kind of
The heat on Rhule, then it would get like kind of legit. I don't even know why I want to go this way because it's a hypothetical, but
it'd get tense.
he's got to be a little careful with that, right?
Well, just imagine what the scene at the stadium would be.
I know
Like,
that's what I'm thinking.
First of all, people are already kind of, on the fence about what they should be doing and if they go with Sims. And he does the same stuff he did in the first 2 games. I mean, they were booing on the first play.
I know.
Imagine what happens if they boo if another Sims turnover.
I know.
So then
You'd hear him in the press box then.
Then you're creating a much more tense situation than it already is. And it already is tense.
All right. And Adam has a comment. Robin is the glue guy of the trio logger
God's sake.
champion.
Did you hear that?
You're the
Robin
glue.
is the glue guy.
What's
What's lager champ mean?
I don't know.
I
Just
don't know.
cool guy,
sitting
YouTube
there.
chatter.
Join a Cornhead Lager
10
brought to
maybe.
you by 1890.
10 maybe at the
Yeah.
the
Easy.
next
Easy.
Jiminy Christmas.
I'm
I'd be in
telling
the
you.
ER.
It's like drinking Gatorades.
Alex comes in here strong with a great stat, and this might be our last super chat of the night, guys. Interesting. This was the first FBS non-conference game that we went into the fourth quarter with more than a 2-touchdown lead since NIU in 2019.
God, I don't even remember that game in 2019.
That was a game where Maurice Washington kind of ran wild.
Okay.
If I remember right.
Okay.
And Wandell was new on that team.
Okay. So that's that year they went to Illinois.
Yeah, Nebraska was ranked.
They go to Illinois on a Friday night.
Yeah, they had lost to Colorado. Was it the week before NIU? Because they beat South Alabama, then lost to Colorado, then beat NIU,
then went to Illinois,
and then went to Illinois.
Yeah,
and we're 3-1 with game day and the new facilities being announced, and that was kind of the high water mark of the Scott Frost era before it all kind of went down.
That was the high water mark.
Well, game day was in town
Good
for
God.
the first time since 2007. The facilities got announced, the money got raised. I mean, it felt, and then it unraveled fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we got all our super chats in, guys. It should be an interesting week.
Yeah.
We'll hear from
Matt.
Matt.
Comments.
We'll hear from Matt Rhule Monday. A big visitor was in town, though. Brandon Baker was here. That's going to be his decision. Will be made a week from Sunday. So did Nebraska even get his attention? Brandon was here with his mom and dad, Francine and Gary Baker. Gary Baker Jr. was here. Brandon's other brother was here, along with his sister-in-law and niece. So a big crew was here with the Bakers, and that's going to be someone to watch.
You know what helped? You know, I guarantee you one thing that helped: Thunderstruck. The light show.
They got it to it eventually, but they had to play some.
Gary Baker, you're saying Mr. Baker was about ready to walk out if Thunderstruck wasn't played?
I don't know, but when Thunderstruck came on, I bet it got their attention.
And it was I have a picture of this, Meg. I don't know if you can pull it up, but it was kind of a surreal deal. Governor Jim Pillen took a picture.
Colorado.
No.
36 seconds.
Our Governor Jim Pillen was on the field with Brandon Baker pregame.
Yeah.
The governor of Nebraska is talking to a footballer.
That was arranged.
I mean,
right.
No. I mean, Governor Pillen was down on the field, and then he just happened to go over there, and they were standing by each other talking. I don't know if it was I mean, there was like 1,000 people down there. It wasn't like you could really arrange it, but there's the handshake. A former Husker, Jim Pillen.
You don't think somebody told Pillen that's the number one tackle in the country? You might want to say hi to him as the governor. Might help us. You don't think that happened? Come on.
But yeah, that's Nebraska football in a nutshell. The governor talks to recruits.
Come on. That was arranged. That was a wink arrangement.
Why don't you go over there and talk to that kid?
See that guy that looks like he, whatever. Yeah, that's the. Come on.
Tyler says we just rammed in some daylight to the Buffs.
Oh no! What is going on up
he
there?
says, guys, the Rams just rammed the daylights out of the Buffs. Like 10 seconds later, Colorado scores.
Now they're going to go for 2.
40-yard touchdown.
and to tie it.
Well, they're going for 2 right now.
We're alive, right?
Here we go.
Might as well stick here, Sean.
Stay on.
Hey, just give me the commentary, Robin.
All right. Well,
timeout.
Well, line up shotgun. Edwards to the left of Sanders.
Okay. Come on, Gus Johnson.
Formation.
They're bringing a heavy rush to the right side.
So Zone Reedy throws over the middle.
Oh, all right. We're going to overtime in Boulder.
Great.
Unless Colorado State can get a field goal. But a lot of fun, guys.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the week 2:30 game with Louisiana Tech. So a little bit more modest of a post-game show start, but we thank you for everyone for staying up late. Thank you to our producer, Megan. She was managing multiple post games with the other team she works with. So we appreciate your hard work, Megan, on the back end. For more coverage, check out HuskerOnline.com. You got Sipple's column, 5 things, my final take, all the videos, photo galleries, plenty of post-game coverage. For Steve Sipple, Robin Waschad, I'm Sean Callahan signing off here for the Husker Online post-game live. Thanks for joining us.